Hello, and welcome to Miss Africa Digital Factory Dialogue. Right, my name is Richard Joseph. I'm your host. Today, we are so happy to be back live on set, and we're bringing you a conversation around technology investment and urban development. Can my guest hear me? I just want to know if you can hear me loud and clear. Good to have you guys. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, www.digitaltimes.africa. Never miss an update. If you want Afrocentric news update regarding technology innovation in Africa, feel free to reach out to us via www.digitaltimes.africa. Right before I set the ball rolling, I would like to give a little bit of a context to the conversation we're going to have today. But before I do that, let me introduce my guest. We have Nene Kujo, who was the founding. What was the title again? I think.
Just call me founder. That's good enough.
Okay. Who is the founder of Sustainable Initiative for Alliances for Africa? That's a very long name, but it's a beautiful project they run there, and so glad to have Nene on the call. Also joining me is Norbert Jivonu, who is the Incubation Associate at Ghana Tech Lab. Also is the startup, the co-founder of Startup Accra, and he has a lot of interest in urban innovation. We'll go shortly on a commercial break, and we'll be back, and then we'll kickstart the conversation. Be back. Hope my guests are all doing well. Sorry for the inconveniences if you have, audio challenges. This is just because we're trying to stick and stay with hosting the show of digital platform we have. Sorry for that. Okay, we're good to we're back. Sorry for those inconveniences. Today we'll be discussing about how technology investment, basically investment in technology, will influence urban city development and as well as work culture. Right. Let me give an introspective to why we're having this conversation. We can all attest to the fact that global warming has had tremendous effect on our living culture as Africans and the world at large. And this is what we are trying to look into. How can more investment in tech, drive a de-escalating effect on the front of global warming and try to majorly influence work culture and then business productivity? I have with me on set Mr. Nene. I'm just going to dive into the question so we can continue. Kindly share with us what you do at, I think the name is CI Africa or CI Africa.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, let me thank Digital Times for inviting me today to be part of this. I also want to take this opportunity to extend my regards to your audience who are streaming in from all over the world. So at SIA Africa, what we've tried to do is to drive conversations by using all platforms, including digital, to create awareness about issues that deal with sustainable investments, and in most instances, infrastructure issues. but we look at it from a standpoint where we try to match needs to resources. So, in a nutshell, we are an organization that strives to match opportunities and needs to resources. I
Hi,
think we
Richard.
lost.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we lost the audio, Richard.
Hi, Richard. Hello.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't hear Richard.
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, I'm also getting a feedback. And hear us. Hello.
Still can't hear him. Do you hear him?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Let me try and see if I can get in touch with.
Can you hear me now? Hello, Norbert.
Yeah,
Can you hear
I
me?
don't know
Yes.
about Nene. I can hear you.
I hear you too. I hear you. You hear me?
Sure. So we
Perfect.
can.
We are
Yeah.
good. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for the challenges.
That's that's technology.
This is technology for us, but we're going to get through this hopefully soon. Okay, let's get back to the context of the discussion. So we are trying to look into how the effect of global warming, I mean, on plants, city is affecting. Sorry, give me a second to take a breath. How on plant cities are affecting work cultures and then business ecosystem. I was just about to get to Norbert to introduce himself and tell us about what he does with South Accra so that we can set the ball rolling.
All right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
yes.
All right. So my name is Norbert, and I work with Ghana Tech Lab as an incubation associate. I'm a co-founder of Startup Accra. It's basically a community of startups in Accra. So we are also positioning ourselves to lead the conversation on urban innovation and sustainability. So I mean, it's great to be part of this conversation, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Norbert. Let's set the ball rolling now. So my first question will go to Norbert. So what are some of the challenges you see exist with urban planning? Right, what has been the problem with urban planning for African countries so far?
Yeah. So thank you for the question. I think in Africa, the issue that has to do with urban planning goes beyond a political and social and our personal or our individual responsibilities to take up certain.
I can hardly hear you, Norbert. I think there's a feedback where you are.
Initiatives to
Okay,
drive certain urban action.
I think I'll have to put Norbert on the line and then just bring on Nene so we can pull through with this because a couple of you are coming on from the line. Hi, Nene.
Hi. So, I mean, you want me to pick up from where Norbert was going
Yeah,
with?
can you pick up from where Norbert here was?
Yeah. I mean, listen, from the point where I sit, a lot of the things that I consider some of the issues is just lack of planning, right? Planning is for me very important to the good execution of products. So if you don't plan, you're certainly going to have a lot of problems. So the core of the issue for me is planning. And when I say so, I'm looking more at the people that are put in charge of dealing with like city planning. And this is, for me, this is not even political. It's more about finding the right persons to hold, you know, the right positions. So if you're going to appoint local leaders, I want to see local leaders who have some sort of background in engineering. You know, some leaders that have background in like urban planning, to be the ones that are running stuff at the local level. So I feel that that is, for me, that is actually the starting point. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So that was a very, very good one you shared. It's more just more than political, right? But let's get into it. So how has lack in urban city planning really affected work culture, and how has it affected the business ecosystem when it comes to productivity with businesses?
Okay. So I mean, you want me to take that, or you want Norbert to take this?
I don't know if Norbert is back online.
Okay.
Just you can go ahead. Once we get Norbert on, we'll
Okay.
let you know.
So, you know, in the beginning, you know, you talked about global warming. You know, I tend to use the word climate change more than global warming, right? Because a lot of people take that
Okay.
whole global warming thing to a whole different level. But as you've seen in recent times, there's been a lot of, you know, flood issues um, around the world. And these are natural disasters. And some of these issues have been talked about in the past, that we knew these things were going to happen sooner than later. So once again, it goes back to planning. So how do we plan for some of these things to ensure that, you know, we don't repeat the mistakes that are being made, you know, around the world. I think that, you know, technology is very powerful, and if it's used properly, it can resolve a lot of issues. For example, you know, yesterday I was watching the news here in New York City, and you know, the city government is talking about creating a system where people will have like flood alerts, you know, way before the storms come, so that they can, you know, prepare and move to higher grounds. And this is all going to be done through technology. And so for me, technology is key to a lot of things that we do when it comes to city planning and urban planning. Um, for example, if you know where most of your citizens are, you know exactly where the citizens are in terms of good address systems, um, zip codes, then you can zero in on the problem and address it. Because guess what? Climate change is here to stay with us. It's a question of how we adapt to the challenges that come with it.
Wow. Climate change is here to stay with us. It's a question of how we adapt to it. That is significant. And I mean, you just answered a question on if technology can actually solve the problem of climate change, and I think it's a good one to mention climate change and not about global warming directly.
Right, right.
Hi, Norbert, can you hear me loud and clear? You able
Yeah,
to
I
speak?
can hear you.
Okay, let's say quick. How has the global warming or climate change affected business productivity as well as, I mean, the work culture within employees in Africa?
Yeah, I mean, generally, climate change has affected every area, and especially, more especially, our urban spaces, as far as Africa is concerned. And I mean, it has really disrupted so many things, but in that distraction lies the opportunity. So, for instance, I mean, COVID came. So, COVID could also be seen as one of the biggest distractions that have hit our urban spaces. But it's really up to businesses, like Nene said. Were we prepared? What were some of the planning mechanisms that we kept in place? Like other countries are deploying technology to help in medical delivery in the case of emergencies. Through drones, they are building systems and platforms that would help connect people. I mean, how we prepare, how are cities prepared to, pre- uh, prevent themselves against some of these disasters? You get me? So we get flood hitting Accra, and you get like circle flooded up, you get places, homes displaced, and so many things happening. I mean, it boiled down to where did we start the planning from? Who was responsible for the planning? And were these actions executed? I mean, if you look back, there were so many developmental planning and plans and actions that were supposed to make our cities very fluid, for to make it more livable. But unfortunately, you realize that because of our political and our political interests, and to some extent, individual citizens, non-conformers, we realize that these things don't see the day of light. So you implement an innovation like maybe a camera to, let's say, gather aerial data about things that are happening within the cities. Someone goes to steal it, or maybe the person that was given the contract to procure these things didn't get the right equipment. So these innovations or these interventions don't stand the test of time. So if maybe a flood hits us, if maybe a pandemic hits us, we become stuck and we are not able to have a response mechanism to adjust to some of these changes. But like Nene said, I mean, we have technology. Technology is coming in where we can see successful use cases, and it's an opportunity for us to look at how best we can also leverage innovation and technology to prepare our cities, and so that we can.
Norbert, I can hear you. Wow, unfortunately, Norbert has dropped off.
We lost
But
Norbert
then
again.
he made some key points there, and I just wanted to actually wrap on the point he mentioned, because he is based here in Accra and is talking about Accra so much with so much passion. Nene, you're in the New York, right? What differences? I mean, you visited Africa a couple of times, right? What differences do you see, right? That is plaguing the African ecosystem that could actually be resolved.
So once again, I will, and Norbert made some really good points when he talked about, taking advantage of the problems and creating opportunities out of them, right? So I will hinge back onto planning. So for me, living in a city where the buildings are numbered, their zip codes, streets are numbered, avenues are given names, and then it's all tied to the grid traffic oriented design system, meaning that with data and information, we can quickly identify where issues are and then respond accordingly. Now, Norbert mentioned COVID and the problems it came with. When COVID hit, most of what was really happening was that everybody was stuck in, people were working from home, and people were getting things delivered to them. Now, if you take a situation where something that could be done in an hour takes 6 hours to do, that is a problem, right? Norbert also mentioned, using drones as a means of delivery. Perfect. But you also have to program an address into the drone so that it just gets to its location without lots of hitches. So for me, I look at it as that in a city like New York, what has made it different from other places is the fact that it's planned on a great traffic oriented design, which means that everything is done on a coordinate and there's a corner for points to meet. So for that reason, it makes it very easy to identify places and to be able to make deliveries or to even send emergency services to a spot where there's a problem. But all this also in this day and age is backed by technology. Like New York City has a system called ACRIS. It's spelled ACRIS. And that system sort of kind of documents every block and lot, meaning that every building in this city has a corresponding number to it. So if you're performing a search and you want to know what is happening, you use that system and you're able to identify where problems are so that you can respond quickly.
That's a fascinating fact. Um,
Um,
I don't
I
think
don't
it's the
think it's
same
the
for.
same for.
I
I
mean,
mean,
currently where I
currently where
am,
I am,
Accra.
Accra.
Although they've
Although
made
they've made
tremendous
tremendous
strides
strides
to
to
create the
create
Ghana
the Ghana
Post
Post
address.
address.
Nobody is
Ayan
back,
Nobel is
and
back,
I'm
and
just going to
I'm
take
just
its
going to take
reaction
his reaction
quickly.
quickly.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
Ghana has
Ghana
made a
has made a
tremendous
tremendous
stride with
stride with
reference to
reference to
digital
digital
addressing
addressing
systems
systems
to help
to
like
help like
curb
curb
the
the
challenges with
challenges with
locating
locating
places and all
places
of
and
those,
all
like
of those,
Nina
like
rightfully
like
mentioned.
mentioned.
Norbert,
Robert,
you're based
you're
right
based
here in
right here in
Africa. I mean,
Africa.
Nina
I
is
mean,
in
Ghana
New
is in
York,
New
so
York, so
I
I
think you
think
can
you
really
can really
problems
problems
Africa is
Africa
facing,
is,
and then you
and
can
then you
share.
can share.
Also, given
Also,
that you've
given that you've
traveled,
traveled,
right,
right,
you can
you
also
can
tell
also
us
tell us
what you've
what you've
experienced
experienced
away from
away from
Africa and
Africa
what
and
is
what
the
is
case
the
study
case
here in
study here in
Africa and
Africa,
how
how
we can
we
actually
can
look
actually look
towards
towards
correcting these stuff.
that.
I hope you can hear
Hope
me,
you can hear
Norbert.
me, Norbert.
I think
I
you're
think you're
muted.
muted.
Could you kindly
Could you
unmute
kindly
yourself?
unmute yourself?
Okay, so
Okay, so
sad.
sad.
I know
Let's
it's very
keep the
unfortunate that
conversation
this
going.
technology is not it's not working for Norbert today.
So
So
sad. It's
sad.
really,
It's
really
really,
sad
really sad
because
because
um,
um,
apparently he
apparently
had
he
to
had to
travel all the
travel
way
all
to
the way
Kumasi for
Right,
the
right.
event.
event.
But let's
But
let me
let
get to
me
you
get to you
quickly,
quickly,
Nene.
Nene.
You
You
mentioned the
mentioned
use
the
of
use of
drones. You
drones. You
mentioned the
mentioned
use
the
of
use of
data
data
to be
to be
able of
able of
addressing
addressing
problems and then
problems,
locate
educate
people and be
people, and
able to
be
like
able to like
provide
provide
resources
resources
when the
the
need
need
arises. Right.
arises. Right.
I'm looking at
I'm
a
looking at a
situation where
situation where
we can
we can
use
use
drones for
drones for
transportation of
transportation of
foods and health
and health
services. Right.
services. Right.
Would that
Would that
advancement in the
advancement in
use
the
of
use
drone
of drone
technology
technology
or the
or the
investment in the
investment in
more
the more
solar
solar
powered
powered
cars,
cars,
solar power
solar power
systems,
systems,
will it
will it
curb
curb
urban
urban
rural
rural
migration or
migration
rural
or
urban
rural urban
integration,
integration,
right?
right?
As well
As well
help
help
de-escalate
de-escalate
overpopulation
overpopulation
we
we
experience in
experience
urban
in urban
cities
cities
in
in
Africa.
Africa.
You know, it's that's a very interesting question. And honestly, I do not know the answer, right? Because there are so many different reasons why people want to leave um, the rural areas into the urban areas. But
Mhm.
let me say this: if urban areas are planned well, right, then it doesn't even matter if people want to migrate there. Because think of it this way: if you realize that the numbers are getting higher in terms of population and you decide to you want to then you got to adapt, right? So then you have to change your ideas into building up. So that should be your next point of decision making. That okay, let me say the greater Accra region, for example. If I'm able to design and plan it well and build up to be able to accommodate, let's say, 15% of Ghana's population, right? Then you're doing something right. Then it is not really a matter of, rural urban migration. But at the same time, you also want to create areas or pillars of attraction. So I'll use an example, and people might beat me over this, but I'll say it. So, for example, you decide you want to build a national cathedral. Great idea. But then, why do you decide to put it in an already congested area? Why don't you put it somewhere else where people will then gravitate towards that that place? So then that becomes the point of attraction for that place, and then it creates economic impact in that place. Because guess what? All the people that will go over there now will then spend money in whatever community you put that edifice in. So you can do things like that to curb the constant flow of people from the rural areas into the urban areas. But like I said from the beginning, there's nothing wrong with developing an urban area efficiently so that people, you have more of the people living there. New York City is one of those places.
Okay, let's look into tech inclusion, right? Inclusion with technology, especially with the digital era. We have more people trooping in from rural areas to urban areas as a result of access to tech, access to services, access to resources, right? Maybe, just maybe, if we had enough investment in tech, right, which will in turn curb rural urban migration, then rural cities could exponentially become urban cities in no time. Would you agree with that?
I also absolutely agree with that. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning of my conversation, but a lot of what leads to good development is investment in power energy and connectivity infrastructure. Okay.
Hmm.
If you don't invest in these things, you're still kind of spinning your tail, because
Wow.
these two things are the driving force of economic impact. So, yes, if you put the right resources, like I said, like power energy driven by technology and also connectivity infrastructure in the rural areas, then those places will have its own economic opportunities being generated.
So much for that. I think that really answers a couple of the questions on mine. Let me draw your attention to this quickly. Sorry, our audience, we're having a couple of technical challenges. Norbert can't join us at the time. As soon as he gets on board, we'll probably take reactions from him. Um, Mr. Nene, I can speak for Africa or Accra right now. There are a couple of investments in solar powered vehicles. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if you can tell of what Elon Musk is doing for United States, right? And these would in no time see transition that would help de-escalate the issue with global warming. My take, I'm thinking, and I'd like to hear your honest opinion about this. If we had lesser people in cities, or if we had a lot of tech investments, tech-driven investments, tech-driven businesses, right? More people can then stay and work from home, and that would probably increase or boost business productivity, as well as reduce the emission of is it greenhouse gases that will in then curb the issue with combustion of CO2 and the rest of the likes that actually brings us all the issue with global warming.
Yeah.
What's your take?
So yeah, absolutely. You're right on that, right? So the issue, and like I mentioned, investments in power energy and connectivity is key. And by doing so, you promote a culture of people being able to work from home. And this also has to start right from the educational, systems. When COVID came, the idea was like, well, we got to pivot and change and adapt to this whole idea of working from home. And so, now I feel like we are trying to fight that concept and pushing people to go back into offices. I think that future thinking should be investing in the infrastructure I talked about and promoting the culture of people being able to work from home. And like you rightly said, that reduces people, people's carbon footprint and how much fuel is used to go back and forth um, to Center City to work. Because if you could work from home, then you know obviously you're saving gas and you are utilizing um, energy and connectivity from wherever you are, and you can do business from wherever you are. I mean, today I'm speaking to you from thousands of miles away, and it's all
That's
because of
right.
technology, right? So if this can be done, then I think that culture should be embraced. The idea of distance learning, because, like we said, climate change is here to stay with us. So we have to prepare and plan for these things so that on a bad rainy day, on a bad snowy day, when kids cannot go to school, they could still jump on their computers at home and be able to do academic work. Or, parents can then work from home and not have to worry about being caught up in floods or snowstorm or, any other natural disaster.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
that
much for that
interesting
interesting
submission.
submission.
I think
I
you
think you
you really
really
hit the
hit the
nail on
nail
the
on
on
the
its head.
head.
Let's now
Let's
speak
now
about the
speak about the
future of
future
work,
of work,
and you
and
really
you
brought
really
into
brought into
perspective
perspective
the
the
issue with
issue with
COVID-19
COVID-19
and
and
people being
people being
forced back
forced
to
back
work,
to work.
whereas we
Whereas
should
we should
actually be
actually be
looking more
looking
into
more into
investment in
investment in
technology and how
technology
we
and how
can
we can
de-escalate the
de-escalate the
working
working
spaces and have
spaces and
people
have
work from
people
home
work
and
from
then
home and then
increase
increase
productivity,
productivity.
right?
Right?
Talking about the
Talking
future
about
of
the future
work,
of work,
what does the
what does
future
the
of work
future of
looks
work
like
looks like
in
in
an
an
advanced
advanced
digital
digital
era?
era?
And what
And what
investments
investments
can
can
these are two
these are
questions
two
in
questions
one.
in one.
What
What
investments
investments
can
can
we
we
or can
or can
governments of
governments of
African
African
nations or
nations
can
or can
people in
people in
Africa
Africa
actually
actually
put
put
um,
um,
put in
put
place
in
to
place
help
to help
exponentially
exponentially
increase
increase
business
business
productivity and
productivity
then
and then
employee work
employee work
culture?
culture?
So, a lot of times people quickly, defer to government and it says, what can government do? What can government do? Right?
Yeah.
What I try to say is that I see government as the enabling power. That if government will enable private sector investments, right, that is the key to a lot of growth.
Mm.
So government should just create the enabling environment for private sector innovations to thrive. Sorry.
Sorry for that.
Um, um, you hear a lot about solar companies, or yeah, I'll use solar companies for now. Uh, Moving into the space in Africa, trying to set up. I think just bringing solar power for me to put on my hut is not an answer to the problem, right? So it would be beautiful if these companies came with a package where they are also looking into affordable housing. So it's like a one-stop shop type of deal. Yes, it's a solar energy company, but it's also involved in power energy. So it's also involved in affordable housing, so that you know sustainable housing is being created using solar energy and good connectivity infrastructure, so that it's like a whole package where the people really benefit from a broad spectrum of resources, um, and for me that is what the future would have to look like. This whole culture of being able to work from home effectively, where connectivity is working and you also have power energy um, to support work. Like I've said before in so many places, I'm not an expert. I'm just a passionist. These things,
Wow.
something that are near and dear to my heart. It's very
Okay.
unfortunate that Norbert, the expert, hasn't been able to really pipe
Quite
in
unfortunate indeed.
um, his ideas, especially considering that he's on the ground and he's actually doing the work.
So rather
So rather
unfortunate.
unfortunate.
We
We
really do
really do
apologize for
apologize
any
for any
technical
technical
inconveniences
inconveniences
you are
you are
experiencing in our
experiencing in our
audience.
audience.
It's one
It's
of
one
those
of those
things
things
of digital,
digital,
and
and
maybe a lot
maybe
of
a lot of
investment in
investment in
technology will
technology
help
will
us
help us
see
see
this
this
through in the
through in the
future.
future.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
very much,
Nene, for
Nene,
that
for that
interesting
interesting
contribution. And
contribution. And
it's rather
rather
unfortunate we don't
unfortunately, we
have
don't have
Norbert
more
here to
budget to
actually
actually
speak
speak
about
about
the work
the work
culture and
culture and
how
how
um,
um,
employee
employee
relation
relation
currently looks
currently
like
looks
on the
like on
African
the
continent.
African
But
continent. But
let me share
let me share
something from my
something from my
perspective, right?
perspective, right?
So I'm not
So I'm
just
not just
a host
a
trying to
host
ask
trying
all
to
the
ask all
questions.
the
I can
questions. I
actually
can
make
actually make
contributions to
contributions
help
to help
see how
see
we
how
can
we can
exponentially grow this
exponentially grow this
ecosystem
ecosystem
together,
together.
right?
Right.
Currently,
Currently,
what
what
it looks
it looks
like
like
is
is
we have
we have
people
people
every
every
day,
day,
5 a.m.,
5
6
a.m.,
a.m.,
6 a.m.
hurrying.
hurrying.
They sit
They sit
through
through
about two
about two
hours of
hours of
traffic,
traffic,
get to the
get to the
business
business
place.
place.
Work
Work
resumes
resumes
say at
say at
8,
8,
and you're
and
supposed
you're
to
supposed
work
to work
eight
8
hours,
hours,
and they
and they
sit through
sit through
traffic back
traffic
to
back
their
to their
houses.
houses.
So
So
they get
they get
home, say
home,
maybe
say maybe
6:30,
6:30,
7:30,
7:30,
and then they're
and then they're
expected to
expected to
rest,
rest,
take care of
take
your
care of your
families, and
families,
then
and
come
then
back to
come back
work the
to work
next
the
day.
next day.
Is this a
Is this a
productive
productive
work
work
attitude?
attitude?
I mean,
I
Nene,
mean,
you're in
Nana,
New
you're in
York
New
City.
York
Is
City.
this
Is
how
this
it
how it
operates in New
operates in
York?
New
Do
York?
you have to
Do you
sit
have to sit
through
through
2 hours of
2 hours
traffic
of
to get
traffic
to
to
work?
get to work?
Now I'm
No,
talking about
so so so
advanced planning.
so so there has to be alternatives. Okay,
Mhm.
that system that you just described is not sustainable. Um, and the alternative for me is rail transport, or like we said before, designing systems where people work from home, or redesigning the work culture in a sense that you don't pack everything in one place, right? So
Okay.
if I have to go to a bank, right, there's a bank that has branches all over, or I can do online banking. Okay. So I don't even have to go or walk into a bank. Also, um, I can always plan my day knowing that if I caught a bus at 8:15, by 9:05 I will be in my office. It's just the way things work. Yeah, there's some days that traffic could be bad, but on an average system, I know when I leave at this point, I will get to work at this time. But I personally, I think the alternative way is rail transportation, and this is something that governments and the private sector should really look at, because with rail systems, you move a lot of people at once, and you don't encounter any traffic. So once again, when you start, you know that in 35 minutes I will be at, from point A to point B. Yes, some days there are problems with the system, electricity, power outages, and whatnot. And so, systems might be slow, but it doesn't happen every day. So I personally think that that culture of just being stuck in traffic, in and out, and the whole culture of the car culture needs to really be looked at and reversed with rail transport, and also the culture of working from home.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much for
very much
that,
for that,
Nene.
Nene.
The culture
The
of
culture
working
of
from home
working from
very
home very
important. I
important. I
think
think
it's really
it's really
displeasing to
displeasing to
see that
see that
COVID
COVID
came,
came,
things
things
exponentially
exponentially
changed,
changing,
investment in
investment in
tech, and
tech, and
people started working
started
from
working from
home,
home,
and
and
businesses were
businesses
still
were still
making
making
money.
money.
All of a
All of a
sudden,
sudden,
we are
we
all
are
going
all
back to
going back
work.
to work. Uh,
Maybe we want to
maybe we
see
want to
more
see
work
more
from
work
home
from home
attitudes and more
attitudes and
people
more
work from
people work
home,
from
more
home, more
investment in tech
investment
to
in tech
help
to
that
help that
space.
space.
I hear
I hear
Norbert is
Nobel
back
is back
online.
online.
Norbert,
Nobel,
I'm just
I'm
gonna
just gonna
bring you
bring you
on so we
on
can
so we
answer
can
this
answer
quick
this quick
question,
question,
right?
right?
What
What
can
can
governments of
governments of
African
African
states
states
do
do
to
to
exponentially
exponentially
improve
improve
urban city
urban city
planning?
planning?
It
It
affects the
affects
work
the work
culture and
culture
then
and
the
then
business
business
productivity
productivity
in urban
in
cities
urban
and
cities
rural
and rural
areas in
areas in
Africa.
Africa.
Oh,
Oh,
unfortunate. Nobody
unfortunate.
just
Nobel
went
just
off.
went off.
Okay,
Okay,
that question
that
was
question was
directed
directed
targeted at
targeted at
Nobel,
Nobel,
but
but
No, but
we
yeah.
just have
we just
to
have to move
move away
move
from
away
there
from
and
there and then
Then you've mentioned already that technology will drive vast change in the city planning, work culture, and basically influence business productivity in Africa. Now, the question would be, from where you sit, what are alternative measures that could be implemented to help um, de-escalate the issue with city planning in case government fails? So we don't have rail transport, we don't have maybe good road networks or good planned cities, right? What are alternative we could look at? I think you shared a couple already, but I'd really like to lay emphasis on those.
Yeah, once again, I would say that so yeah, you're right. So the rail is not there, the cities are not planned right. What I think, this has to be a collective effort from government and private sector, so that going forward,
I think what we should do is let's take government out of the picture
right. Let's
because
take government out of
it
the
looks
picture,
like
right?
African governments has failed us. I'm not
Right.
saying they have failed. There is a seeming possibility that they are failing us, right? So let's take them out of the equation
Okay.
and just focus on what we can do as alternative to help solve this challenge or bridge this gap.
I think a lot depends on developers, right? Which is the
Hmm.
private sector. So if you're going to start a new development, think of all the things that will make your development sustainable and more efficient. I've talked about designing in a way where there are real systems in place. There's a guy in Ghana who developed a place called Ayimensa Park,
Yeah.
and I had a privilege of visiting that place not too long ago, and they got it. That's the concept, where before they built, they made sure they had roads, okay, and then when they built, they made sure all their buildings had building numbers. Then they made sure that there was connectivity and power energy, on a consistent basis. So if everybody who's involved in that space can do that, right, then gradually things will change. I know another guy who's doing something similar. Uh, they're called Nyamidua Estates. They are a little bit east of Accra in the Bon area. And they are also following the same concept where they are building, actually they're using a great traffic oriented design model. And I think that is something that is a culture that has to be embraced. And once again, a lot should go towards the education system. The STEM related courses should also be geared towards like planning and design, right? So it's STEM, but it's the focus is more on like design and plan.
Okay. I think at this point we're going to take a few comments and reaction from the audiences. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with us, regardless the technical issues we are having. We really appreciate you from putting our hearts. Um, before this conversation started out, actually, a couple of people sent in questions, and I'm going to start from there. And we're going to get into what the reactions from the people who has joined us live are saying. So there's a funny one. How do we solve the hot sunshine in Africa? Oh my God. Quite a hilarious question.
That's a hilarious one.
Very
that's
hilarious.
something that is nature. I can't really. So maybe how can we use the heart to generate more energy? We should think
know.
about what
I
we
think that's a
do.
good one to look
Right,
into.
right, right. Let's use the heat to generate more energy, so that when we build homes, everybody can have an air condition,
Mm.
or some type of cooling system.
Maybe not an air condition because
Right,
that might also probably cause pollution
right,
and what the
right.
other.
Maybe
I
a better cooling system.
Yeah. Another question that came in was, why are investors not creating more jobs for the youth these days? Uh, you have any comments on this, Nene? I know it's
Well,
not
I
focused
mean,
on the
I
conversation, but I
don't
mean,
know
talking about the
because
future of work, we can probably like talk about this.
yeah, I mean, listen, there are a lot of investors who are interested in the continent and want to do business there. I think
Mhm.
it's more about creating the enabling environment once again, and
Okay.
this transcends just investments not wanting to go. It's one of those things that it's a give and take. The local component systems have to be right for an investor to, and it depends on what type of investment. I mean, when you say investment, it's a big word. Like, what exactly, you know, are we thinking about?
Okay. Thank you. What are some of the problems with the urbanization of? I mean, Nene, what are some of the problems that came with the urbanization of New York City, and how can Africa really prepare for unforeseen challenges that urbanization might bring?
So, a little bit of my history that I know is that there was a mayor whose name is Robert Moses. And everybody has their own opinion on him. Some people like him, some people hate him. Who sort of kind of drove a lot of this through. He really wanted to see things a certain way, so he pushed and did it the way he did it. Whether it's right or wrong, I leave for the historians to judge. Um, but yeah, so New York City still has challenges. It's not the end all. Some strides have been made, but there are still a lot of challenges that need to be fixed. And we live and we learn. So with every problem or issue that comes along, um, we adopt and then we try to make changes, and move on.
Okay, I think that is where we draw the curtain for today's conversation. Thank you so much for everyone who joined the dialogue. Once again, we deeply apologize for every issues, every technical problem that were faced. We're doing well to resolve them, and in the future we'll have less and less of these problems. Nene, thank you so much for sticking and staying with us. Really appreciate you and appreciate your time. We know you've taken a lot of your time, but you've really done great to address this problem from the perspective of where you sit, New York City. Rather unfortunately, we couldn't get Norbert to actually touch share more light on the situation in Africa. Do you have any last words for the people speaking about the future of work and what technology investment can actually do with urban development?
Well, I would like to close by saying that from where I sit from SIA Africa, we will continue to push the conversation. We will continue to, look for the right resources and match them to the opportunities and needs that we see on the continent. Um, the idea here for me, once again, like I said, is that if the environment is right, organizations like ours would continue to push to bring as many investors as we can find who will be interested in investing in technology, um, in technology driven projects, like power energy, affordable housing, rail transport. um, and so yes, we are committed to working with our partners on the ground, people like yourself, for giving us a platform like this to push this conversation. The likes of Norbert, who is actually doing the work. Um, so I think that it's good to have dialogue. It's good to exchange ideas. It's good to learn from one another. Nobody knows it all. I learn from you guys, and you guys might learn one too from where I sit. But yes, I look forward to keeping this conversation going, and it's been an honor, and I'm grateful to everybody who tuned in. And irrespective of the technical difficulties, we still put it together, and I think it was a good dialogue.
Great. Thank
Right.
you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Nene, could you kindly share with us
Share
how
with us
we
how we
can get
can
in
get
touch
in
with
touch with
SIA
SIA
Africa?
Africa.
Maybe
So
some
it's
people might be
it's
looking at get in touch with you.
yeah, it's if you want to send us an email, or I mean, you could follow us on social media, or look us out. It's SIA. There's a hyphen Africa.org. But if you want to email us, it's info at SIA hyphen again Africa.org. But if you Google SIA Africa, will come up, and then from there you can follow us, on social media, and all the other tools that are out there.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Nene.
Nene.
At this
At
point,
this
we draw
point,
the
we draw the
curtain on the
curtain on the
conversation.
conversation.
This was
This
brought to
was
you
brought
by
to you by
Digital
Digital
Times
Times
Africa.
Africa.
We have
We have
conversations like
conversations
this
like
to
this to
surface
surface
insights on
insights on
how we
how
can
we can
collaboratively
collaboratively
solve
solve
problems that
problems that
really
really
plague the
plague the
African
African
ecosystem.
ecosystem.
This is,
This is,
I think, the
I think,
sixth
the sixth
edition of
edition
the
of the
Digital
Digital
Factory
Factory
Talks.
Talks.
We
We
intend to
intend
still
to
keep
still
the
keep
foot
the
on the
foot on the
throttle
throttle
and keep
and keep
on
on
delivering
delivering
insightful
insightful
content and
content and
educating
educating
Africans,
Africans,
especially people on the
people
tech
on the tech
front.
front.
Do well
Do
to
well
follow
to follow
Digital
Digital
Times
Times
Africa on
Africa on
social
social
media across
media,
all the
across all
social
the
media
social media
channels
channels,
and visit
and visit
www.digitaltimes.africa
www.digitaltimes.africa
for more
for more
insights, more
insights, more
Afrocentric
Afrocentric
insight,
insight,
particularly
particularly
on
on
tech,
tech,
innovation, and
innovation,
the
and
business
the business
ecosystem in
ecosystem in
Africa.
Africa.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much
sticking
for
and staying
sticking and
with
staying with
us.
us.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See you
See you
at a
at a
different
different
time.
time.